too high too fast.
Go ahead, Linebacker.
Boy. Ready? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Just want to open this up by saying, on Friday I made a decision that I believe was in the best interest of this organization, our players, and our fans going forward. Very difficult decision. Anytime you have to release a very talented young football player, it's always a tough decision. But this type of circumstances, this type of situation, we take those allegations very, very seriously, and we had to make a decision going forward. And sometimes it's one of these things that there are processes, there are situations, there are circumstances that you go through. Each situation, each circumstance is unique. Each one will be handled and dealt with differently to what we believe is best for the organization going forward. And that's probably the most important thing. I talked to the players yesterday and basically told them that I had made a decision that I believe was in the best interest of our organization. And if it was the right decision, we will benefit from it. And if it's not, it will be on me. I will take full responsibility as we go forward to try and make sure we do things the right way. And we'll go from there. So with that, I'm going to open it up.
Hey Ron, Sam 48 with the Washington Post. I was wondering if you could kind of take us through, when you first found out about Darius' situation and kind of your timeline through your process of really making it.
Sam, I really want to get into that just because of the fact that the statement that we put out really details what we did for the most part. And so, I don't want to get back into a situation, circumstances. As I said, though, each situation is unique, and each situation will be dealt that way as we go forward.
And could you kind of tell us about the decision to activate Ruben yesterday and kind of what you can expect from him moving forward?
Well, the biggest thing about Ruben was in watching him the last 8 days, not last 8, probably what amounts to about the last 9 days, 4 days on, day off, and then 4 days on, he did extremely well. And the thing you always worry about is the next day, how does he feel? How has his body reacted to the amount of work he did? And he really had no issues. And each day he seemed to get stronger and stronger and more confident. So we activated him yesterday, had an opportunity to watch him, and he moved around very well. We put him in limited action to kind of ease him back into it. And he'll get more today as we continue to go forward. But he was prepared and ready to go, and we're pretty excited for Ruben.
Thank you.
Hey Ron, John Conn, ESPN. Were there other factors that led into the decision to release Darius, or was it just about these incidents?
That's something I really don't think we should get into. So I'm just going to move on from that.
Okay. And then as far as just, since you've been here, you've had to deal with a lot of things outside of the football field. What's that been like? How has it been difficult? Has it been draining? What's that been like?
It has been. It's been part of what I have to do. As we look at the entire situation and circumstances of trying to reestablish who we are as a football team, there are going to be some decisions that have to be made that are tough and difficult. There's some things that we will continue to grow on and improve. And it is hard, but the thing that I've got to do, and the thing that we all have to understand, and I try to tell the players, is that when we decide to do something, when we think about what we're going to do, we have to honestly think, is what I'm about to do truly going to help us? Is it going to benefit us, and how is it going to benefit us? And in this situation, in these circumstances, I think making those decisions to do what I believe is right, I'll continue to do. And at the end of the day, as I said, I'll own those decisions.
Thank you.
All righty, John. Thank you.
Good morning, Ron. It's nice to see you again. This is a quick question about the linebacker group. You've talked a little bit about Cole Holcomb possibly playing in the Sam. You've mentioned John Bostic and Sean Hamilton in the middle. But how do you see the will position exactly working out, or what is your vision for that?
We've got a good group. I really do believe that. I think we've got a good veteran group of guys. To really say and start pigeonholing guys into positions right now is a little premature, to be honest with you, Reed. We've got to see how all these guys mesh together. We've moved Thomas Davis around. We're going to move Ruben around. Kevin Pierre-Louis, who recently signs, another young man we're going to move around and really see where all these guys fit, where all these pieces fit together. It's going to be an interesting battle. I really do believe that, just because of what we've seen from these guys. This is a good young group of players, sprinkled in some crafty veteran guys, and it's a good group. So I'm excited to watch them and see and what really is going to be the best combination. And truthfully, the best combination may be you may have 3 different guys starting on the base package, 2 different guys starting on the sub package, and you might have another sub package where you have 2 other guys. So this might be linebacker by committee because it is a very talented group.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ree.
Hey, Ron, it's JP Finley. Coincidence or not, it's hard to kind of ignore that Darius Guice gets released on Friday and Ruben Foster gets activated, about 48 hours later. Have you had a conversation with Ruben considering his past? I know you weren't here when he was claimed, but it was a really controversial decision back then. And just how do you reconcile all of that going forward?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, Ruben was claimed here, and as he went through the process, certain things came out, and he had his moment to be able to settle himself in and show that he was exonerated for the most part. And again, it's always a difficult situation when you come through these things. But Ruben and I have talked about some things, some specific stuff. I'm not going to get into details, but the one thing that Ruben has really shown since I've been here is that he is doing things the right way. He's doing things the way that we need him to do, and he's been excellent. He really has. He's done a great job in terms of his rehab. He's done a great job in terms of working with our coaches. So I'm excited for the young man's opportunity. Here's a guy that needed a change of scenery, and I think that may be one of the things that has truly benefited him. And who knows? That's what might be needed in Darius's case, is an opportunity to get a change of scenery.
And then just from a strictly football perspective, how big of a potential asset is Ruben Foster for you?
Well, he can be a very big asset just because of his ability to make plays, his explosiveness as a football player, his explosive plays that he can make. So, when you have a guy like that has that kind of ability and he's back, it could be a very good thing. When you look at the Dallas situation, they went through the same thing with their young linebacker having almost the same type of an injury. So, that's what we're hoping for is an opportunity for Ruben to get back on the field and prove that he's back and that he's the kind of guy that we hope he can be for us.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ron. Michael Phillips here. Talking to the players, they just talk about how Dwayne has really taken on the leadership role from the quarterback position, has been more assertive, more in command of the team. And I'm curious, I know you were interacting with him through the offseason, what you told him about the importance of that and maybe helping him to a position where he felt like he could occupy that role.
Well, I think the one thing that I did say to Dwayne, and one of the opportunities that we had when he had come in to first see me, was that being the leader is not just about what you do on the football field, but it's what you do off the football field as well. And he's taken that to heart, and he's done a great job. I mean, he's competing, he's doing the things that we need him to do. He's being very professional about the way he's handling himself, and he's really been very thoughtful in terms of his actions. So that's one of the things that's been a big plus. It really has, and been really pleased with what we've gotten from him.
And then I think we'll get to see you guys on Wednesday for the first time. On Thursday for the first time. What will we see in
Thursday?
Rivera practice? What are we? when we come out to see practice, what will we?
The biggest thing is I want you to see tempo. I want to see you guys. I want you guys to be able to say, man, they practice fast. Man, they move from one drill to the other. To me, that's one of the things that you have to be able to do, and that is play with an up tempo. Well, the only way to do that is you've got to practice with an up tempo. You've got to be able to understand how things have to be done. We're not going to get an opportunity to play any preseason games. So when we practice, we've got to practice faster. We've got to practice quicker. We have to practice at an up tempo every opportunity we get, and that's what I hope you guys see. And if you don't, let me know, because that's something we need to get corrected, because that is really the only way you're going to be able to simulate anything right now as you start leading up to your first regular season game.
Appreciate it.
Morning, Ron. Pete Haley with NBC Sports Washington. When it comes to cutting Darius, but then keeping someone like Cody Latimer, who's also facing some serious charges from something earlier this summer, what is kind of the difference in those two situations there, where you move on from one guy but keep another?
Well, the biggest thing is when the Cody Latimer situation came out, there were some things that still we hadn't known. So what happened was he goes onto the commissioner's exempt list, and so we're now in a position where we're just going to continue to monitor it and see what happens, and we'll go from there with Cody. As I said, and again, understand that we will look at each situation, each set of circumstances individually, and we'll go through our process and make our assessments.
And then football-wise, I quarterback. With Darius gone, Adrian's still there, of course, but it looks like Bryce and Antonio are slated for a lot more work back there. How comfortable are you leaning on two guys who don't have an NFL snap yet and giving them, that much exposure early on?
Well, and don't forget Peyton Barber. We feel very good about the group of guys that we have. We really do. We think this is a group of guys that are talented. And again, it was a very difficult decision. Trust me, it really was. I mean, Darius is a gifted young football player. And again, it's one of those things where, we're trying to get ready for a season. And one thing that we can't handle are situations and circumstances that are beyond our realm. He's going to have to deal with something for a while, and his opportunities to get prepared and ready for the season would be limited. So we're looking at getting ready for in the next 5 weeks to play our opener. So with those guys, you're going to have guys that will get a lot of opportunities between now and the opener, and we'll get an opportunity to see which guys will be the best ones for us.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey, Ron, Ben Standig here. Logan Thomas was brought off the COVID reserve list. Just wondering what his status is, or how he's kind of doing physically, and what did you kind of learn about dealing with players who may contract or who test positive for COVID because of this situation?
Well, the biggest thing we learned is that you have to go through the process when guys are testing positive for COVID. You've got to be safe, and they've got to handle their situation, which Logan did a great job of getting himself healthy and ready to roll and following the directions of our medical staff. As far as Logan's concerned, we saw a guy that's starting to blossom and develop into the tight end position. Got a chance to watch some pretty good tape on him against he was with Detroit, and we really felt this is a guy that has a skill set that we're looking for to be one of our tight ends. We're going to be a group that we're going to use one tight end, two tight ends, maybe three tight ends, just depending on circumstances and situations. He's a guy that's going to be lining up in the down position, be a guy that's going to be lining up in an up position. He's got enough athleticism that he can be dynamic. So we're pretty excited about who he is. One thing I always tell people is, too, don't forget he's only been playing tight end for a few years because he was a quarterback. So he's got a tremendous understanding and feel for football, especially the offensive side of football. So that's going to help him as he continues to develop into his role as a tight end.
And as a separate topic, I know we've asked you over time about a ton of these defensive linemen. I don't know how much we've asked about Montez Sweat. I'm just curious what you see with this guy. See a smile starting to come across your face. So what are your thoughts on this player entering his second year?
He's a guy that we liked when he was coming out in the draft, and so seeing that he's here and got an opportunity to watch him practice the last couple of days, it's pretty exciting. He's a tremendously gifted athlete, and again, going back and watching his tape and just seeing how he was growing and developing. I'll be honest, just kind of going back and looking at him from his college tape and remembering him, putting his hand in the ground and how explosive he was off the line of scrimmage, and then seeing it again, with his hand in the ground, knowing that this is a guy that I think with his ability and Chase's ability and that whole group of guys we have the ability to have a special unit, a good solid group of defensive linemen. It's pretty exciting to watch these guys practice, and I know it's just practice, but when you start throwing in Duran and Jonathan and Matt and Tim, and Ryan Kerrigan, the Wiley veteran who's really kind of put his arm around Chase, which has really been kind of neat to watch. And Ryan Anderson. I mean, we've got a solid core of guys that as we're building this unit, you look to the future and say it could be very bright as a group of guys. They're all going to get opportunities. We're going to roll these guys through. We don't want a guy to go in and play 65, 70 snaps a game. We want a guy to be fresh and come in and play 25 or 35 snaps. And when it really counts, when we really need him, we need him to be explosive and be able to make plays. And I think, again, as you look at the group, you feel pretty strong about them right now, and hopefully we can stay healthy as we go through camp and get ready for the regular season.
Thank you.
Ron, Nikki Deval with the Washington Post. Regarding Darius, I know the team statement had said after learning of the allegations that he was excused from all team activity, were you able to have any sort of back and forth with him about the allegations and the charges?
The biggest thing I'll tell you, Nikki, again, in the statement we just talked about the fact that we had a conversation with him on Friday morning, and and from what we learned later on, we made our decision.
Okay, and then football-wise, for the quarterbacks, how do you plan on dividing the reps with them as practice ramps up?
Well, the biggest thing that we've got to do is not just making sure we divvy up the reps as evenly as possible, but we divvy up who they work against. You know, this could be a very interesting challenge for us because of Alex Smith. You know, if Alex is healthy and continues to get healthy, and we do activate him, you know, he's going to be in the throes of this competition. So it's gonna unfold, I think, very nicely for us as a football team, because competition is only going to make you better. It's going to push the young guys as well. So I just feel really good about what we're going to be doing as we start going forward. And it's going to be it'll be a very challenging situation to make sure everybody's reps are equitable and their competition is the same.
Hey, Ron, Les Carver from Washington Post. Good morning. I want to ask a little bit about some of the players have mentioned that you've talked to them about the importance of keeping that bubble tight and not, you know, when they're going home at night, not straying and going out and doing those things. How much are you talking to them about that, and what are you saying, and what kind of the message are you looking with that?
Well, you know, we try to mention it every day. You know, I asked the coaches to mention it. One of the things I told everybody was we all have to own this together. If we see something that's not right around the facility, we've got to mention it. You know, if we're finishing up the day and we're getting ready to leave, we got to mention, hey guys, be safe. Let's be smart about this. The other day we had an entire team organizational Zoom meeting in terms of the people that are Tier 1 and Tier 2 people that are all involved within the facility. And we talked about the rules, because the rules don't just apply to the players, but they apply to the coaches, the support staff as well. So we wanted to make sure everybody knew them, everybody understood them, everybody understood that, you know, there are consequences if we fail to follow those protocols. And so we had to get those across and make sure that everybody knows. I mean, we've been very fortunate so far, you know, and again, we see some of the examples that are being set by basketball and hockey and golf and baseball, you know, and in some cases you see them working very well. In other cases you see that there are some issues. So one thing we've got to do is we've got to be aware that we are like no other sport, because we have more players that we have to be concerned with, more coaches that we have to be concerned with. Our travel situation is a little bit different. Now baseball is very difficult as well. So we've got to sit there and learn from what we're seeing from the other sports.
Is this just going to be a total trust thing, or will there be punishments in place if people break that, or is there?
Well, I mean, again, there are specific rules that, you know, that the league has set forth, and that the league and the PA have worked on, you know, and again, that's why I said that they just don't apply to the players; they apply to everybody, and that's the thing we have to understand. Now, you know, you're going to have an incident where it's accidental, where somebody may be going to get gas or to the grocery store or something like that, and something crazy could happen. What you don't want is somebody going to a 100-person party or to an indoor concert or something. That's what you don't want. Those are the things that we've got to be able to be willing to sacrifice right now, you know, until that the vaccine has been found and been perfected, you know, to where we can hopefully return to about as normal as we can get. That's the thing we've got to be aware of. And again, we're asking, you know, everybody to do that for about a 6-month period, and hopefully we can follow that, and we can do that as we go through the season.
Got time for 2 more.
Yeah. Hi, Ron. I just wanted to ask about Alex Smith. You mentioned kind of the way Ruben Foster was reacting after those 8 days. Just where is Alex after those 8 days? And you mentioned last week how his leg was kind of responding day after day. Is that
Yep.
still happening?
Yes, it is. It's still happening. You know, it's a little bit more difficult with Alex because of the specific movements. We've got to continue to watch and see as he continues to get stronger with them. The only real way he's going to really be able to know is by doing all the drills, and that's one of the things that, you know, Ryan Vermillion and his staff have been working with Alex, is get him the opportunity to do all the specific quarterback drills. And so as he continues to go through them and we continue to watch, we notice he is getting stronger and stronger. His movements are all coming back. But again, we don't want to put him out on the field. We don't want to expose him until the proper opportunity comes. So again, we're just trying to be smart. We're trying to be very diligent in this situation because of Alex's circumstances, and he's done everything we've asked. So he's been tremendous right now, and, you know, we expect it to continue to develop and grow. And, you know, when the moment is right, you know, at the appropriate time, we'll make our decision.
Hey, Ron, good morning. It's Chris Russell from BestSide.com, the 106.7 The Fan. This is more big picture, and maybe it's a little early, but there's a lot of talk about college football being either delayed until the spring or canceled altogether. Just kind of curious how much thought you put into that and the complications from a football aspect in building a roster and managing a roster in the future as something like that might bring.
Well, it's been interesting because Kyle Smith and I have been talking about, how he plans to do it, the way he's going to set things up, and it's been real interesting in terms of our conversation. He's got a plan, he's got an idea, he's got a couple of ideas of the best way to handle it, and now it's just a matter of waiting to see which one's going to unfold. But they've been working on some of the other things that they've been doing right now. They've been doing some of the Zoom calls with the colleges, talking to the folks there about their players that they have on their roster right now. So that's one of the things that our guys have looked at doing going forward, and we'll see what happens. And if it turns out that like a lot of the other leagues, college leagues, that is, conferences, that they're going to play in the early spring, then it's gonna really change some things, and who knows? We'll have to see how it's going to affect everything that we do in the off season.